Yes, it's always wonderful with the birds. I love having the birds in the background. At my house, the river's just way too loud, you know, to make videos. So that's been a blessing because every time, there's no windows in the house. So if you try to make a video, all you hear is the raging river, and it's like, okay, that's going to drive everyone crazy. So it's like, I had a nice 6 months break. Today, or right now, we're moving on in the video series here. And before I get started, I think you had a question. And your questions are amazing because that is what gives us the context to really educate people on this lifestyle.
Well, I feel like I'm beginning to understand we're moving in increasing densities from water through fruit juice to green drinks, now to smoothies. I was wondering what's the role of, for example, nuts in a diet like this? You know,
Nuts cause a lot of problems. Well, why is that? Because they're not being properly utilized in the diet. They should only be a minimum part of the diet at the right time of year when they're in season and local so that they're fresh. The big mass production of nuts and the rancidity that goes along with them is very difficult on the liver. Another issue with the nuts and the seeds, they're beneficial foods, don't get me wrong. But when they're not soaked and sprouted or properly prepared, in indigenous cultures, they would just get the nuts and they would prepare them, mash them or put them in different things, and it wasn't just a pile of nuts. So people will be like, I was a raw vegan and I just got worse, I got fatter. What did you have? Well, I would just sit in front of the computer with a bag of cashews, or I would eat like 25 or 50 Brazil nuts. And I thought raw vegan, I was gonna lose weight. Well, no, that's not the raw vegan diet. The raw vegan diet is like 8 Brazil nuts, either chewed really, really well or blended into a dressing and poured on a salad, so that it's got a nice synergy to it. You don't just go into the jungle and eat, a big bag of nuts. But when you do, you want to make sure that you're preparing them properly. The seeds get soaked for the enzyme inhibitors. Same thing with the grains, if you're going to do that, which I don't really recommend a lot of grains. They're relatively new on the scale of time. I got an interesting comment yesterday. We've evolved eating grains. Well, yeah, for the last 10,000 years. But in our biological evolution, that's like that. And the body hasn't adapted to many of the things that are in those grains. Chickens do really well with grains and that type of thing. But if you are going to eat grains, that's also good, which are seeds, it's great to soak them and sprout them. And then if you can get into the habit of culturizing them, then you take it to another level, which is just a advancement. And we're using these tools here basically to sort of mitigate some of the dysfunction in our society. Why do you need all that stuff? Well, you wouldn't if you weren't vaccinated and then circumcised and then fed Frankenmilk and dead crap on your plate in school, and then the candy machines and the soda pop and the colorants and the additives. And by that time, and with all the stress and the chemicals, you're just, because your mom wasn't thinking, neither was your dad, because they didn't know any better. Nobody knew any better, because we've had a real kind of a downward trend in our awakening and presence of what's natural and real and wholesome and good. I mean, the farmers, maybe your grandparents were farmers, your mom was a farmer, and now you came out nice and strong, good bones, good teeth, a lot of healthy foods from the soil. So anyways, that's why we're using these things to help us bounce back, because we have the constant barrage. We've got to do something to fight back. So probiotics, pro-life, is, helping to create an environment from the mouth to the anus, which is actually outside the body. The mouth and the anus is outside of the body, and there's like a huge, from the mouth to the anus, the amount of coverage that's in there. It's like 2 tennis courts worth of surface area, where these trillions and trillions of different, thousands of different species of microorganisms are living and thriving and building biofilms and living and dying and pooping and eating and creating metabolites and vitamins or not. And so where do you fall in on the spectrum? Well, we've seen the one thing is, well, number one, stress. That eats holes into your gut. And then all the things that are destroying the microorganisms, the microbiota in your gut. And so we're just using these tools to bring in and create an environment where the beneficial can survive. And we were just getting started on understanding what those things are, but the masters knew a long time ago and tried to tell us, but it got lost it just got lost, you know, and they knew about it back then, you know, that's what was going on. They knew it intuitively. Now we've got the microscopes to see, okay, you can't argue with that. And we see the acne problems and the mental problems and the fume problems and the gas and the bloating and the indigestion and all that's going on. And so I'm just trying to do the best I can with my limited understanding of what it is at this time to help people. But I've had some amazing results myself, taking care of my own gut and saying, wow, this is directly related to this. And if this gets off, this gets off. And this needs to be on for where I'm going and what I'm here to do and be. You know, and all of us want to rise and ascend. So we need to start thinking of the practical things that we can do. So back to the nuts and seeds. The nuts and seeds need to be soaked to release the enzyme inhibitors, because if those phytates are in there, then you have a stripping of minerals and an indigestibility of the nutrients in the nuts and seeds, and a die-off of beneficial, healthy microorganisms. But when you soak and sprout, you wash those away, whether it's rice or grains or seeds or nuts even. It's helpful because when you get a Brazil nut off the tree, it's moist and soft. It's like a fruit. Same thing with the macadamia nut, watery, rich. Once they're dried for processing to ship, all that water's taken out. That water is the key, you know what I mean? That's in the fresh fruits and vegetables, or in the nuts. That's what fresh nuts are on a whole nother level. If you got a pecan tree, go to town. Oh, the macadamia nut thing? Oh, where is it? Oh, okay, cool. Well, let's. Yeah, well, these have been dried too, but like I had one off the tree last year. I can't even show. I'll do another little demonstration in a minute. But nuts and seeds, and then what you can do to bring those back to life and get those proteins, because some people need more proteins and fats than others. You know, and I think we all need a nice balance, a diversity of foods to keep everyone in there that's helping us happy. And we got to find a way to get rid of the ones that are not, that are really living off the sugar. Basically, I mean, white sugar, what's in that? Nothing. That's rocket fuel for pathogenic bacteria, which leads to mineral deficiencies and insanity. And you'll see that all over the internet, you know, where the more sugar that's consumed, and people are really, really struggling with that, you know, because they're sending signals to your brain, hey, eat sugar, and then you lose track without the real sugar. Or berries are the best sugar. Berries are like one of the best foods for human beings, just for so many different reasons. I'm making a smoothie today, and I'm really glad that you're here, because this is just more educational than it is the recipes, but I think the recipes are really cool. And normally what I would have thought I was going to do was just these recipes, but today what we're getting is just some really, really solid information that's going to really transform lives. So soaked nuts and seeds, blended is good. Your teeth is a blender, but nobody does that, because you'll see the next day, oh, those are whole sunflower seeds. I need to chew my food better. So be aware of chewing the nuts and seeds really, really well when you do eat them that way, that they're soaked and sprouted. I don't eat handfuls of nuts. You know, I mean, I have, and if I go to eat some macadamia nuts, I'll wrap it in leaves and greens, you know, and it's very much more, it helps to move things through a little bit better, and gives everybody down in there who's playing the game, wanting to utilize those nuts for nutrition, a little bit more surface area to play with, and some of the alkaline minerals, which can mitigate the more acidic minerals in nuts and seeds, which can build up. That's why it's only at a certain time of the year, in the fall and the winter, when we would be consuming nuts. But we do that all year round, and it's a time of the year when you're kind of supposed to be building up. And then in the springtime and the summer, we lighten up. But we don't have those fluctuations anymore. There were lean times and fat times, and now it's just fat times. And so that's the pathology, because none of the weaker anaerobic ones ever get a chance to die off. They're always very well fed, and you can keep going down that route. And there's obesity, and there's insanity, and then there's food disorders, and there's food cravings, because you're not able to get a handle on, like I said in the beginning of the video, using this to say, no, I think I know what you're doing, and I'm going to say no to the candy bar, and I'm going to say no to overeating, and I'm going to say no to the cheeseburger, but it takes some time, and you have to have a very high intention if you plan on busting free. You have to have the most high vision for your life, and then you might struggle with the thing for a while, but eventually you just get sick of it. This is holding me back from reaching my potential as a human being, which is what I came here to do and be. So this smoothie is off the hook. I'm going to do some bananas, which I got to pick off the tree because the chickens were eating them, and I was like, oh, hell no. The chicken was up there eating it away, and I said, those are my bananas, son. So I got up there. I had to get a ladder and get. You can't even fly, you big fat bird. Get off my bananas. And there was all these bananas that had been pecked into, and it was way up there. But these bananas are like, these are the real deal here, just less hybridized than the ones that you get from Dole and at the grocery store. But all bananas are good. These are just useful. But I don't think you want to make a whole diet out of just bananas. But supplement them a couple times a week in a smoothie, I think, is a really cool idea. And potassium is amazing. The potassium and sodium ratio can be off in a lot of people because of all the salt in all the foods. And so bananas are a great way to kind of bring the potassium back and mitigate that high sodium level in all the different processed foods that we've been eating. So I've got some bananas. I've got some blueberries here. Now you can leave it like that. Like, I think a lot of kids would really like it just like this. I'm going to go with some of this Life Essentials here. It's vitamin E, it's neuroprotective, and it's also full spectrum amino acids. So amazingly, you've got this protein powder, which is kind of like a dessert in a way. And there's some prebiotics in there, and there's also actually a couple of beneficial probiotics as well to inoculate. Yes?
I've been hearing you speak about prebiotics as
Yeah.
opposed to probiotics. Could you explain?
Prebiotics is what the probiotics feed off of. And so the prebiotics are really important for the natural microorganisms living in you. That's why, we have a low fiber, highly processed diet, which leads to nothing but pathology. And then plus all of the things that we do in our society, which diminishes the biodiversity of the microbiome in the gut, which is all the things that are basically coming out of our wonderful medical establishment. I wish I could say I'm not against the medical establishment, but for the most part, like I said, there's that little section of emergency medicine, which is cool, but I'm not going to be impressed with an industry that is so wonderful for healing us of the diseases that they created, okay? So I'm not stupid enough to buy into that, and I don't think anyone else should be either. I think it's time to wake up to that. That's not, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I've already been thinking this for a long time. Genius can go two ways. Genius doesn't always mean it's divinely inspired. Genius can go to the sinister path as well, and these guys are geniuses. What they're doing with the slow kill is amazing. I'm impressed with how intelligently they are slowly killing us without us being able to fully be able to understand what's happening. So we're slowly dying, because if we just all started dropping, if we went in for the vaccine and dropped dead, we would start to go, wait, stop, done, no more. But slowly damaging the neurological function of our children and ourselves, all of us. But the schedule's getting more and more rapid. They're getting more and more desperate to get more and more poisons into people. Yeah, it sounds like, oh, you're nuts. No, if you believe in that crap and you're doing it, you're not only nuts, you're not awake. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the hugest things, because people want to say, how do I get healthy? And that's what we've got online. oh, here's this great diet. Well, why is everyone so sick in the first place? If we can figure that out, someone's got to say something. Because if you're going to wonder like, oh, well, why are my children, why is this happening? It's like, well, I'm Dan McDonald and I can explain it all to you very, very well. In very simple, clear, lucid terms so that you will not even have one argument against it. Because it is so drop dead simple if you are awake and if you are conscious and you are not playing the cognitive dissonance by emotional attachment to programming. That you've been programmed and now you have all this and you're looking for information that can help you prove, and it's all been proven fallacious time and time again, and they're doing an amazing job at hiding the truth from us, and it's not cool. And it's just time that someone says something, because the dudes that say something that have PhDs and MDs that are brilliant geniuses and are like, here's the problem, here's the cure for, say, like autism. What happens to them? Bye, they're gone. Mysterious. Oh, well, how mysterious. And that's what's going on. And that's what I can't really help people get healthy if they're going to keep allowing themselves to be poisoned. You have to get out of all that and step away and start doing what's been going on for billions of years, because God and Mother Nature are infinitely intelligent. And they're working together just waiting for you to take your shoes off, to take off your clothes, to go take a nap. Because I know you're sick, and guess what your boss says? Well, you can take a vacation in 6 months. You need to go now and go get well. And our society is not set up for that, and it's sad. And it sucks. And that's why I'm like, 20 years ago I said to myself, I'm going to find a way to get free so that I can do what I really want to do. Which is what we can all do now, because by the sweat of our brow, we don't need to do that. We can do a little thing online or something simple and just do our little thing, and then we can do what we really came here to do, which is to ascend, instead of, oh, thanks for my $8 an hour. I need 10 to actually make it, And you're just slaving away, you're slaving your life away for a couple of things you don't even really need, when it'd be better just to go to the beach and take your clothes off and take a nap and rest your body and take a year or two off and find something you love to do, and you'll never work another day in your life. Look at this. I'm just figuring out, then it's cool because everything is really cool that works with this to support this ministry. It's like, yo, this stuff is legit because it tastes delicious and it nourishes. And it's not like some other foods where it leaves a slimy layer. For some reason, these proteins in here digest so well. There's certain foods that you can eat and the next day it's like, it's chalky and you can feel it too much, excess low quality fats or excess animal proteins, and your mouth is all gummy. But if you get the right juices and you get foods that actually, for some reason, with the raw enzymes still intact and the way that they're produced and created, you get the proteins, you get the beneficial probiotics in here, which help everything to digest. You're just inoculating yourself with healthy microorganisms, because I'll tell you, the reason why the Life Biotic and the Pure Life work so well is because the strains that are wiped out, most predominantly the lactobacillus and the what's the other one that I was just reading the other day, and this clicked on for me and I was like, no wonder. So this is Acidophilus and bifidus. This is amazingly designed formula. And so the Acidophilus and the bifidus these are transient, so they're not really necessarily colonizing, but what they do is they help to keep everything balanced so that the colonizing organisms, it's like having more cops. There's so many cops. There's no way that there's no crime that can take place, because these are the cops. And they're walking all over the streets. But what if you pull this out, take some antibiotics? You've got to go in for a tetanus shot, or your grandma gets a flu shot. And then you eat some genetically modified foods. And then you take some antibiotics. And then you go get some steroids. And then you drink some fluoridated water. And that just, you keep, and then pretty soon you have no beneficial. And it's all pathogenic. And you just feel terrible. And it's just, your microbiota is just, they're all just dead in there. and none of the beneficial ones are coming to life, producing their metabolites, which go into your mind and feed you all the vitamins that you need to be happy, healthy human. So you got to, when you start bringing in the cops, there's too many cops. They're like, I'm trying to rob that old lady, but there's 5 million cops, and there's one of me. If I try to grab that lady's purse, I'm not going to get 1 inch. So that's what happens with these. Transient. That's why you're just inoculating every day as much as you can. So then all the beneficial microorganisms are like, well, okay, cool. Now we can produce an enlightened society in your gut. We can do art. We can meditate. We can pray. We can make music. But if all the bad guys are in there just rotting and eating everything away and pooping their acid filth and burning holes in your gut, everything you eat's leaking through into your bloodstream, into your brain, you're fuzzy. That's not what you want. You want nice, tight junctions, absorption of micronutrients, and so you're not leaking through and getting arthritis and autoimmune diseases and everything else, which is a whole nother thing that just goes on and on and on. My point is, when you're that these are knocked out by all of the antithesis of the pro-life, the probiotics. So everything that's going on is anti-life for the most part, from birth until death. Look at what I'm up against. I'm not trying to say I'm taking on the whole world, but I'm just saying for the most part, you're just getting these visions and downloads and you're going, how am I going to, like, this is like, wow. It's like most people are real quiet about it. They're working one-on-one, and I'm supposed to get in front of this camera and tell you they are out to get you. Yeah. Sounds crazy, but it's not. It's real. Yes, sir.
So I hear what you're saying, about the pharmaceutical industry and how diseases have been created that they now have this cure you pay very high prices for. At the same time, we're supplementing in your diet, we're supplementing with these supplements you're recommending. There's a huge industry of vitamins and minerals and CoQ10 and you know how it goes, 5-HTP, and there's so many. You could have shelves and shelves of vitamins. What's your opinion on vitamin supplementation beyond the price you have? I mean, what about taking vitamins every day, multiple vitamins, all the
A lot of vitamins are produced by the healthy microorganisms. And here's the thing, and this is what I haven't really figured out yet, is like, how can we naturally rebuild our gut? Can we? After a C-section, after massive amounts of antibiotics, even if you were born with a healthy vaginal birth, what was your mom eating? Was she, because a lot of these kids are getting autism, and the moms are like, well, there's only a few, but my kids weren't vaccinated, why did they get autism? And the question I ask them is, well, were you vaccinated? And the answer always is yes. So these viruses and these poisons, I mean, I can get into this right now, but the thing is, we have what I call, because I've never heard this anywhere else, there's synergistic toxicity, and that's in the literature, and that's all over the place. Synergistic toxicity. And then there's accumulated synergistic toxicity, which is leading to the downfall of mankind and the degeneration of mankind. See, you can't blame genetics. If your grandma ate fried chicken in a low-quality oil, and your mama ate fried chicken in a low-quality oil, and now you eat fried chicken in a low-quality oil, and the doctor's telling you you need to get your gallbladder cut out, that is not a genetic defect. That is a habitual transition from, lifestyle. Okay, and all these genetic things, they're not genetic. The genes are expressed according to the environment. That's it. So what kind of environment are you creating? We're not, it's weird because we are victims, but we're not. We're victims, but we're also victorious in the way that we can take those challenges in life and rise up and learn things we never would have if those challenges were not presented. That being said, I'd rather have as much neurological function as possible. So when people are like, oh, this autism's not that big a deal, I'm like, you need your brain. That's not a very, you need it. Don't you want as much of your brain as you can? maybe that's just me and I'm crazy because I love the ascension process and blossoming into, high levels of cognition and consciousness and neuroplasticity so I can learn new things and pay attention and be present with my woman or whatever, or be present with people. As if you have ADD because you have aluminum toxicity in your brain, and you can't sit still and pay attention, that sucks. I'm just saying, so a lot of the reason why we need the vitamins and stuff, and everyone needs to find their own little thing, because you might not have been born with that particular, part of the microorganisms that create that beneficial vitamin or mineral. You see, so that's why maybe we need to supplement with B vitamins till we get this right, till the vegans get it right. Although a lot of the meat eaters are B vitamin deficient as well because they have gut dysbiosis. And so this is the most cutting edge information that you two are getting, and of course everyone who's watching out there, but this is amazing stuff that is coming to me because I need it. And then I'm thinking, well, how can I really help people? It's like, oh, I'm a vegan. It's like, okay, vegan diet doesn't solve it. Less animals suffer, yes, but if we're talking human health, I'm on a different playing field here. We need to figure out like what's going on with all these humans and why everything that's death, why the autism and Alzheimer's and all these things have a cause. Genetics, blame it on genetics. No, your genetics, you're working symbiotically for the genetic expression with the microorganisms living in you. And so I don't know if we can, the only thing they have is fecal transplant. That's taking someone else's doo-doo and transmitting it into you. They're doing it in rats, and they're learning amazing things about obesity, energy. They can make a fat rat skinny by taking the skinny rat's poop and putting it into the fat rat, and they can make the skinny rat fat by taking the, you know what I'm saying? By transmitting fecal matter. Does that colonize permanently? I mean, these are questions that I don't think everybody else is thinking about it, but I lay awake at night thinking about this stuff. Like, what's really going on, and how can we, because ultimately, yes, that is my ultimate truth, and that's why I've had some challenges on the YouTube, is that, do I think that I want to do products? No. And in a part of my divineness, it doesn't, that thinks that, yes, we should be out there naked and stuff and running around and just eating fruit, and that's fine. But when you have leaky gut, and you have been just blasted with antibiotics because you drank the dairy from the school, and then you got the earaches, 41 years later, or whatever, all these years later, you're still clearing out the plaques in your brain from the antibiotics and the vaccines, the protein plaquing. That's a protective mechanism. So there's a lot going on here, folks, and this is a road that I'm going down, and I guess it's cool that camera's there, because I try not to, the journey's cool. The personal stuff is like, this is my sacred thing to sort of be sharing on YouTube. I'd had to take a minute and go, wait a minute here, this is my precious life. If ignorance is prevalent, I don't really want that projected at me. If you ain't getting this, and if this isn't resonating with you, common sense is not your forte. Because this is common, basic, 8th grade science. Everything I learned about the negative effects of the medical industry, I learned from their papers. And how they can take all the toxicity as individual constituents and combine them over here, and now they're all of a sudden safe and effective. I don't understand how you can have that kind of cognitive dissonance. So this is the truth bomb coming out. Whoever's watching these videos is blessed, because it's for real. You can avoid all that, because I'm here to save. I have one group of people I'm interested in, and that is the future mothers and the future fathers of our future children. Because for the rest of us, eat your Domino's pizza, smoke your crack, go gamble, have your Marlboro cigarettes, drink yourself to death, which is another thing. All the alcohol in society, bam, dysbiosis, totally ruins the healthy microorganisms. I did all that. I'm guilty. I will be paying the debt. I am paying the debt through the consciousness that has to change through me the meditation, the rebounding, the walking, the swimming, the thinking and breathing and dieting and fasting and, and I'm working through these layers because the light just is burning to come forth, but it has to have a vehicle that can handle that. So we are here to purify vehicles, and there is a way to do it. Many of these, so to answer your question, these are just to help those who have just, the guy today, dealing with HPV for 12 years because his immune system's not working. And when you take these probiotics, I've talked to autistic mothers that are like, as soon as I gave the probiotics, bam, I saw a massive shift in my child. One mother I was talking to just a little while ago, it's no talking, speechless child, which is related to the occlusions in the back of the brain, the memory and speech. So you got to get the blood flow going to these autistic kids again. But she gave her son enzymes. And after years of not being able to speak, the day she gives him enzymes, he speaks 3 words. So that tells you something, because that thins the blood and allows the blood to get into those places where it's not. And it has to do with Alzheimer's, autisms, all the neurological diseases, because there's no blood flow. So how are the nerves going to repair themselves from all the heavy metals that are destroying the neurons in the first place? So there's no conductivity in the brain, there's no blood flow, and then these areas, it goes all the way from the neurological damage all the way into, do you want to see the light of Christ within you? And if you do, then you better get the blood flow to all those deeper recesses in your brain, which get shut down because they're not as important as your heart and stuff like that. So you're walking around, your heart's beating, your lungs are breathing, your blood's okay. But when that blood starts getting into those deeper recesses in your brain and waking you up, that's when you start to experience higher levels of consciousness. That's why fasting and juicing and raw foods is so amazing. And that is, again, to me, simple, basic, common sense. But I don't know, maybe I'm way the hell out there and completely off base. But to me, I think about this every day, all day, 24/7, 365, and I never stop. And I'm looking for answers, and I'm looking for ways to help myself. And then if this camera is on, and you're here, and you want to learn, and you fire me up, because you guys are both extremely high-level beings, then you're going to light that fire inside of me, and we're going to bless, hopefully, millions and millions of people, because the thousands of people will be a benefit to the thousands more, and we'll go out like a truth bomb right here, the fire that lights up, and the whole thing just goes up in an inferno of light for love. Because love is what it's about, and when we're losing our love because of all the pain and the fear, and all of our hearts are all blocked off, and I know, because I'm still to this very day, and you know that it's just still trying to open up my heart to everyone. My own kids even, my parents, a woman comes or whatever, to really be open. And we have to be aware of what we really are, that we can't be hurt. It's impossible to be hurt. So we don't have to protect anymore. We can open up, and we can live a life of love, and love the people that eat whatever they want, do whatever they want, but just love everyone. That's what I do. I really do that. Like, I normally don't toot my own horn, but I just love everyone that comes into my field, no matter what they eat or who they are or how they live. I serve them to the best of my ability where they're at, and that's an intuitive process. Where they're at is how I serve them, and where you're at is how I'm serving you.